Hello there. This morning I'm at Chateau La Lagune, southern end of the Haut-Médoc in Bordeaux, looking at their 2024 en-primeur wine. So 2024, somewhat challenging vintage for winemakers, and here at La Lagune they have the additional challenge not only of high rainfall at the beginning of the season and at harvest, causing disease pressure, threatening dilution, and also of a heat wave in between those two periods of rain. But also they had to contend with the fact that in May they had some hail here that destroyed an area of their Cabernet Sauvignon vineyards. So a vintage that, particularly as an organic and biodynamic producer, led to a large amount of work going on in the vineyards, both in terms of the protective sprays they're using, obviously, be it using organic and biodynamic sprays, they're much gentler than traditional chemicals, and therefore you often have to spray more frequently. So they talked about the fact that they applied something like 30 treatments to the vineyards to see the fruit through final maturity and harvest. Now, having said all that, they were really quite happy with the quality of the fruit that they achieved at the end of the day here. The fruit went through a period of gentle extraction, and then we'll have spent the last few months aging in oak. About 50% of those barrels are new here at Chateau La Lagune, and the remainder, I would guess, would be second and third use barrels. The final blend that was arrived at had slightly less Cabernet Sauvignon than usual because of the hail, so it was 52% Cabernet Sauvignon with 42% of Merlot, and the remaining 6% the wonderful old Petit Verdot that they have here at the property. So let's have a look at the wine, shall we? I mean, there's a lovely dark ruby red colour, perhaps a hint of purple at the rim, swelling it. It's quite slowly forming some tears there. The wine is 13% alcohol. Let's see what we make of the aroma, shall we? The aromas have a plummy, red fruit driven nature. There's a lovely mellowness to them. Perhaps some lifted, sort of almost violet aromas. They're very harmonious. The fruit doesn't seem to be heavily overlaid with oak at this stage, although to be fair it will probably spend almost another year in barrel. So let's have a taste. Again, the wine has a lovely harmony. There's a smooth elegance to the wine. It's interesting that Caroline Frey, the owner and winemaker here, also has a property in Burgundy. And to my mind, there's an almost Burgundian style to this. It's gentle, it's elegant. I tend to think of La Lagune as being quite a sort of a very correct style of Haut-Médoc wine. And this vintage instead has sort of elegance and perfume. There is still some grip, there is still some tannic grip there, but there isn't an astringency. There's almost a sort of a slightly peppery note. It seems to be coming more from the fruit side of things than from oak. I'm not sort of seeing an obvious cedriness or vanilla notes or those sorts of things. All that is still very well integrated with the fruit. But what there is this lovely rich note of plum, perhaps a hint of a very clean blackcurrant note sitting behind that. The structures of mid-weight, and instead of being fat and broad and heavy, this is elegant, but the flavours are lasting really well. I guess the fact that the alcohol is at 13% means that the alcohol is not overwhelming the perfume or the finish. And here is where mentally I'm having a little bit of difficulty with the 2024 vintage, because I've come to thinking about Bordeaux based in the late 80s and 90s, where Robert Parker and some of the other critics were suggesting that wines had to be huge concentrated wines to last a long time, to develop in the bottle, and therefore to be worthy of high marks. This instead, I think, is a wine that will probably still age quite well, 20 years the producer suggests. It has freshness, its acidity should help it, but it doesn't have huge tannins, certainly doesn't have astringent tannins, but it does have grip and it has some density. There's more than just perfume here. The finish is lasting really quite well. The finish is where the structure actually sort of starts to show a little. because the freshness is lifting the fruit and the alcohol is not overwhelming it. Those lovely red plum flavours and dark fruit hints are lasting well on the finish. It's a very attractive wine. It might be the sort of thing you buy as an investment that you want to sell for a profit, but it is the sort of wine that you might well buy to put in your cellar because you enjoy drinking it. So thank you so much for watching the tasting. I do hope you found it of interest. If you have, do please press the like button. If you'd like to watch more of these tastings, do please sign up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd really appreciate that support from you, and also that way you can set yourself an alert and you can be notified every time we publish a new tasting. And friends who think might like to watch these en-primeur videos, do please feel free to share them with them. We'd appreciate your endorsement in that way. We'd love to hear your comments. Do please pop them in the box below. That would be fantastic. We'll try and respond to those where we can. I am in Bordeaux for the next week, so I hope to do more of these tastings, and so do join me on my journey, won't you? And hopefully we'll see you again soon. Till then, bye for now.